Good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the regular scheduled meeting of the Calhoun County Board of Commissioners. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Tommy Miller,
Present.
Commissioner Gary Tompkins,
Present.
Commissioner Kathy Sue Betty,
She is present.
Commissioner Rochelle Hatcher,
Present.
Commissioner Jake Smith,
Do not see him currently.
I do. Jake?
Are you there, Jake?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Now I can.
Can now.
Thank you.
and Commissioner Steve Frisbee,
Present.
Commissioner Derek King.
Present.
You have quorum.
All right. We have a moment of silence. Afterwards, I will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America,
The United States of America, and to the
and the
republic for which it stands,
one nation,
one
under
nation,
God,
under God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
liberty and
with
justice
liberty and
for all.
justice for all.
Thank you. Now we're going to have an approval of the emergency meeting rules. Jim Dyer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The item on the agenda is a description of the changes that are required to our normal board rules. The rule that we're suggesting you adopt is a new rule 1.4 that is to how we will handle emergency electronic meetings. The idea behind this is to adopt this rule for this meeting and also for future meetings that might require it, since we are not certain when this emergency will end. But even after it ends, this would be a permanent rule that would be applicable for the commission. It complies with the Open Meetings Act and also with Executive Order 2015 that permits these kinds of meetings to be conducted. It does indicate, as we've been discussing, that that public comment is by phone only, and it sets out some very specific provisions as to how we will conduct the meetings in this fashion. Any questions regarding the proposal?
All right. All of our votes tonight are going to be taken by roll call,
That is correct.
so we can record them appropriately. Can I have a motion to approve the emergency meeting rules as presented?
So moved by Tompkins.
Moved by
Support.
Tompkins,
Support by Betty.
support by Vetty. Any discussion? Madam Clerk?
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Next, going to have approval of the agenda. Can I have a motion to approve the April 14th, 2020 Board of Commissioners Equalization Session agenda as presented?
So moved.
Betty.
Miller.
Okay. I got a second by Vetty and a motion by
Miller.
Miller. All right. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. May I have a motion to approve the minutes of the Board of Commissioners, March 5th, 2020 regular session as presented?
Motion by Tompkins.
Motion by Tompkins,
Support by
Second.
Miller.
support by Miller. Is there any discussion? Roll call?
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Betty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Austin, I just want to make sure we're still up and running with the YouTube.
We are still live and rolling.
Thank you. Next is citizens' time. The next agenda is citizens' time. During citizens' time, the board chair shall recognize any person wishing to address the board. A person recognized by the chair shall call in and state his or her name and community of residence. A person may address the board only once on the same matter during each period set aside for citizens' time on the agenda, and only matters that are relevant to county government. The chair shall control the length each person shall be allowed to speak, which shall not exceed 3 minutes, and shall not allow negative personal comments. Please mute your TV or computer when calling in, as the background sound will generate feedback. Please note there is approximately a 10-second delay between live meetings and the YouTube feed. Is there anyone who would like to address their commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? All right, we're going to wait just a little bit. Okay, seeing none, we'll move along. Elected and appointed county officials' comments.
Hey, Frizz, can I ask a quick question?
Absolutely.
I just had someone text me just to ask. She said that she can't find it on the county's YouTube. How does someone go about looking it up?
Austin or Lucy?
I'm going to put Lucy in the chat here. I think we have the link right on the county's webpage.
Yep, so the link is actually in a couple places. So if you want, you can go straight to the Calhoun County website at calhouncountymI.gov. And there's a news item that mentions the virtual meeting. If you click on that, right at the top, we have a link to the YouTube as well as the information for citizens time, just so that now or in the second citizens time people can call in. And then also it's, if you are on our YouTube page, if you go to click videos right on our main channel, it shows up there. It doesn't show up in the feature, but it does show up in videos if you click right there.
Gotcha. Okay, I think she got in. Perfect. Thank you.
I have a hand raised. Prosecutor Gilbert.
Am I unmuted now?
Yes.
All right. Just wanted to let you know, we're still working in the prosecutor's office, even though, we're working from home. One big thing we've been running into are these executive orders. It's a lot of people are concerned that they're going to be prosecuted. We're not going to prosecute people for for not understanding what these orders are. According to one source I have, there were 484 frequently asked questions regarding the executive orders. That means that they're very vague. And to my knowledge, no law enforcement agency has enforced any of them. I know we have charged one person with one violation, but that went along with an assault and battery also. So, mostly they're gaining compliance from people just by talking to them. So, if you're hearing concerns from the public, the idea is to gain compliance. It's not prosecution. We're not under martial law. We're basically under an executive order, and that's it. And that's all I have for you.
Thank you, sir. Sheriff Saxton.
Good evening, Commissioner. Chair King, or Chair Frisbee, can you hear me now?
I can.
All I saw was a bald head, so I confused the two of you.
Hey, we're both good looking. You can't help it.
So this is a strange way to attend my last county commission meeting as sheriff of Calhoun County. When I started 26 plus years ago, I didn't think I would be sheriff of Calhoun County, let alone attend my last meeting via Zoom in a pandemic situation where many of our businesses and governments are working from home. So I just want to say I've been speaking with Sheriff Hinckley, and he's doing a fantastic job as sheriff and will continue to do so for Calhoun County. And I only wish we could all be in person together for our last meeting, but those things will come. Calhoun County will be stronger when this is over, as well as Michigan. So I look forward to times to come when businesses are open and our economy is going strong again, and we all can be together in person once again. And also, Chair Frisbee, I didn't have a quarter tonight, but I do have a $20 bill I'll put in that pot.
All right.
So, but thank you. God bless. And I know you can't see video, but cheers to you. This will be my one and only board meeting. I'm having a beer during.
Awesome.
Take care.
Sheriff, on behalf of the entire board, thank you for 26 years of great service and as your leadership as sheriff. We greatly appreciate everything you've done. It is a strange ending, but we will get together again, and we greatly appreciate everything you've done in the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Couldn't agree more.
Yes.
Are there any other elected? Sheriff Hinckley.
Hi, everyone.
Evening.
Thank you, Matt, for the support and the confidence. I just wanted to give everybody a quick update on the corrections facility and the law enforcement side here real briefly. I can't tell you for the last 3 weeks, I think we've been up and running with our emergency operations center. I can't be more proud of the corrections staff and the law enforcement staff. They have really picked up speed, and with cleaning and new policies and procedures we put in place. And I've asked a lot of all these people, and they've definitely stood up for the task. So I can't tell you how proud I am of them. We're working right now. I am leading the law enforcement working group for the Emergency Operations Center, and so we're maintaining and watching all of Calhoun County's law enforcement staff from Albion to Battle Creek. We're monitoring everyone's health. We have a plan in place in case any agency has any type of illness. That we are ready to transition to a county-wide law enforcement service at any time during this process. It took 3 or 4 days and a lot of people to put that project together, but we have that in place, and we're ready to operate. On the business model side, we've been working successfully with a lot of businesses and individuals to learn through this executive order. We have been investigating, working with businesses through our community policing program. And we've learned a lot. Businesses have learned a lot, and we are going to continue to work through this until we can get through this process. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Treasurer Winsauer.
No? Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes.
I can.
Okay, somehow or another, I wasn't able to pull the mute off. I just wanted to give a quick update as far as the settlement process at the treasurer's office. We are near completion of the settlement, and we're getting ready to start mailing checks out to the municipalities. And as far as our DTANS note, which is delinquent tax revolving note, I was kind of surprised today. I've been in contact with Southern Michigan Bank and Trust that is purchasing our $5 million note. I was surprised that back in the 90s in the state of Michigan, or I mean the Internal Revenue Service denied the counties in the United States to be tax exempt for purchasing these type of notes. I didn't realize that, and so we had to make a real quick change to some of the nomenclature in the memorandum of purchasing for a $5 million loan. It should be finished within probably the next 7 days. Just to be on the safe side, I extended it to a 2-year note, and we decided to take a fixed interest rate that is very beneficial to the county. We could probably pay it off in probably 2 months, but just in case, I thought that we better hang on to it for a little longer. We're processing payments every day through checks, through credit cards, and we have substantial amount of money actually back in the coffers again that should be able to sustain our accounts payable and our payroll. Of course, with the road department, with them not doing a lot of work out on the roads, pretty much we have only payroll to cover, and we should have sufficient funds to make sure that all of those are covered also. Other than that, I want to thank the team that goes in. Pretty much the senior staff has been alternating Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. We have some working from home that are able to do that without having to be there to open mail, which requires us to go out to the lockbox. The lockbox has been working perfect. From what I understand, there's also been some items put in the lockbox for other departments. So that lockbox is working great, and I'm glad that we were able to get it installed. And just real quick note to Matt Saxton, thank you for your dedicated service. And of course, I'm hoping that you'll attend some of the meetings again and stop by the county building to see the rest of us. I'm all done. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Next, we're going to have Clerk Hinckley.
Just a second, Chair Frisbee, it's me, Derek. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're in and out.
Okay, a resident is trying to get onto the Zoom meeting so they can ask a question and they can't get in. Does Austin or somebody have an idea how to make that happen?
Okay, we're going to take a short break here and see if we can get them in.
Let me see if I can, I'll put the slide back up that has the call-in information on it. Okay, and that should be up in a couple seconds on YouTube. I would just have them I mean, if they dial in that correct number with the webinar ID and password and then do a *9 to raise their hand, we should see them in there.
To clarify too, this is Kelly, that it's not really question and answer, but if they do have public comment and just couldn't get in during the public comment, we could either allow them to do it now or wait till the second citizens time.
Austin, there is somebody there now, 3706. But we'll go ahead with Kim Hinckley.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to let you know that our office has released and finally finished all of their certificate of forfeitures from the treasurer's office. Everybody is happy. I have to give a huge shout out to my chief deputy, Julie Pete. She has been working tirelessly, not only in the office, but at home as well, working to get through those, and worked all through Easter weekend. And so we were finally able to move the date through the 30th. I had staff come in and help us get caught up at least through the 30th. So we're very excited about that, as well as many other title agencies that look on our website for those documents. They are very happy as well. Everything is running smooth for the May 5th election so far, going to be our first election by mail, which of course is a K-RESA election, so it's technically Kalamazoo, but we do have Bedford Township will be open and doing all of theirs by AV, and then a portion of Battle Creek City and Leroy Township. Climax will be hosting those people for those entities, but they still have to be open. So far, so good for this. It'll be a different election. And a reminder that the filing deadline is a week from today, April 21st at 4 p.m. We had quite a few filings today. Terry was in the office, and so updates will be coming within the next probably 24 hours or so on our website to see who has filed. I want to update the e-notary, that the governor's executive order to allow e-notaries through May 6th. We are working on that. I have several title companies and other businesses wanting to know what our protocol will be for that. I'm working with the other registers throughout the state and the MARD organization for registers to get those guidelines ready, and we'll have something up hopefully within the next 24 hours for those entities to know what we will be doing for e-notaries. We as notaries here in the clerk's office, though, will not be acting as an e-notary. That requires different equipment, and we'd have to have that availability. So we will not be doing that at this time, but this is mostly for accepting records in our office that have been e-notarized through the vendors that the state has provided and approved of. And I just want to also say I'm very proud of our staff in both our Battle Creek and Marshall offices. They have been wonderful, coming in when they are needed or as they are needed to keep things running, and they're doing wonderful and no complaints. And so far as I know of, no sickness in our offices, so that's been wonderful as well. And also we did get a little box put up next to Brian's drop box, and so we'll be able to accept some of those items dropped off here in the Marshall office. We just really appreciate the Treasurer's Office for allowing us to be a part of that. Thank you, Brian. And then I'd also like to thank Sheriff Saxton for his 26 years of service to Calhoun County. We wish you the best. I'm sure we'll see you out and about in town, but thank you for your service. Thank you all.
Okay, we're going to deviate for just a minute. We do have a citizen with their hand raised. their telephone number and ends in 4401. We'll go back to allow them to present their public comment.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, this is Glenn Kowalski from Marshall Township. I
Hi, Glenn.
appreciate the opportunity. It was a little bit difficult to get in. They were asking for a participant code, which wasn't shown. So my question or my comment, I guess, both a question and a comment is, and I've asked this before, but why isn't the county reporting regional information on the cases of COVID-19 like the state of Michigan is doing? This would be by city or township, potentially. And, you know, I've asked this question, I think, to Chairman Frisbee. I think the answer I got was that it was governed by HIPAA. Asked a question of Ms. Scott, and I got a similar response in addition to there was a advisement by your legal not to provide that information. And additionally, I got some feedback from medical director that said diseases of public significance are reported on a county level as standard practice, so on and so forth. Basically saying it's not important as far as he was concerned to public health. So my comment is I find this, you know, I find this disagreeable. I don't understand why it wouldn't be provided, and I find it to be I find it to be appalling, to be honest with you. I don't see any reason why there's nothing in HIPAA that says anything about regional information. There's no way that you could tie a city of Battle Creek to an individual. There's no way you could tie the Marshall Township to an individual. So at the end of the day, you know, it's not really a HIPAA issue. It's more of the county providing something that gives me guidance on where I might shop for essential needs and make good decisions. Second comment is, you know, why isn't the age and sex and race information published on the deaths? Because deaths are what's probably the most critical to most people in the county and the state. It's some information on who is passing away either by age or some other information that we might be able to use. So where, you know, you're showing it for new cases or for cases in general, that's great, except that we know a lot of people are going to get this. What we don't have good information on is who is passing away, you know, by this virus. So I think those two elements, I know you're not going to give me an answer today, but I wanted to make sure I went on record with this statement and request.
Thank you. All right, we'll go back to the, was there any other elected officials or county officials that wanted to speak? Brian Wensauer?
I had a call from Southern Michigan Bank. One of the guys that I'm working with, Doug Kiesling, on our DTANS note. And this question is actually for Kim. Are you processing notary, I guess it's renewals? He didn't realize that his notary is coming due and he has to notarize documents, and I didn't know how to answer that question. So if you could reach out to me later and let me know if that process is handled electronically or how they can renew their notary. Thank you.
Clerk Kinkley?
Thank you, Brian. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thanks, Brian. Yes, he has an appointment on Thursday, and we're going to get that renewed. Once we were notified by the Great Seal that notaries were an essential service we had to continue to do. I've reached out this week since our offices have been closed to the public until the end of the month, to make appointments with people who do need their notaries renewed. And so I have 3 appointments on Thursday, and another girl's working on getting her information around. So I will be doing them by appointment and meeting them at the door and swapping information and that sort of thing to get these processed. So yes, I have been in contact with him through a workmate, and we will be processing notaries.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on. We have the 2020 equalization report, and I believe Tom Scott is going to speak with us first. Is that correct?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Welcome, Tom.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you. Yes, I had a memo prepared to surmise the reports. I didn't know how quickly we wanted to go here as far as streamlining this meeting. This is also my first time, and it's being done electronically, so please bear with me here. The memo that our department prepared is just pretty much a breakdown of some of the increases and decreases from over 2019 to 2020. The real and personal property assessed and equalized values increased 4.7% over 2019. And the county's total taxable value increased by 2.5% over 2019 The negative 2.1%, which I don't know if you have the report pulled up or not, to be able to see and follow along as I go here, was actually attributed mainly to a few large industrial companies who actually filed this year for an eligible manufacturing personal property exemption, which they qualified for also last year but did not file. So you're going to see a huge decrease from year over year where they didn't file last year, but they did this year. So it came off the ad valorem roll. So that's going to show where that negative 2.1% change was over last year. The real estate market continued to rise, and it looks, according to our report here, that it's revealing a 20.4% difference in taxable value to equalized value, so that real estate market's really jumping. What that means is that assessed value is increasing, and it's broadening that gap between the taxable value. So it's showing that increased value in real estate. So that's the highest it's been, and the research I did was for the past 20 years. So that was pretty impressive. And also the Calhoun County Equalization Department recommends each class for each township and city be equalized as assessed with a factor of 1. So all units came in at 1s, which is outstanding. So that's what I have there. And then if you have the equalization report accessible there for everyone to see, I can just run through real quick. On page 3 of the report, let's see here, which is going to be page 7 in the PDF. Oh, there we go. There it goes.
I'm sorry, Tom, what page was it on the PDF?
My PDF is page 7. It's page 3 in the report. So if you scroll down just a little bit more, it should be there. Down a little bit further. It's just going to be the value summary. So yep, just keep scrolling down. So yours is a little bit different setup than mine. There we go. So you'll see that under assessed and equalized value where I've highlighted the total personal property there to the far right column, that percent change, that negative 2.1%. And like I said, that is attributed to what would be those large industrial properties filing for that exemption this year over last year. And the same for the taxable value down there at the bottom, the personal property, that negative 2.1% is also attributed to that. And then I have, which I'm not sure what page it's going to be on your PDF, but I've broken it down just a little bit further. So if it's going to be page 14 of the report. Yep, there you go, page 14. And I did add comment boxes in here and highlighted to try to help follow along here. I highlighted a few of the negative double digits that you can see percent change over last year. And that is due to the filing of those EMPPs. But if you do look down and see the city of Marshall, they had actually an increase of 30.6% over last year, which is very impressive. They had a very large valued parcel going from exempt to ad valorem this year, which is the reason for that increase, along with some increase in the utility personal property as well. That's mainly the two things, or the primary thing that I wanted to touch base on, just because that's kind of, you look at that and go, that's a negative 2.1% over last year. And that's why. I mean, it's just someone filed for an exemption where they could have last year and they didn't. So it's nothing too staggering. And I'd also like to really thank and extend my gratitude to all the assessors throughout the county for their timely submission of their unit's equalization data collection material. They really did make it possible for our department to complete the 2020 equalization report, meeting the statutory requirement for this evening. Without them, this wouldn't have happened. I know there's some counties out there that their March board reviews were postponed due to the COVID-19 pandemic. And they're pretty much kind of in limbo here, trying to wait to figure out what's going on. But we were fortunate enough to all work together, not only as the assessors, but in our department here in equalization, to get this report put together and meet our statutory requirement. And one other person I wanted to thank was Director Hansen. I know you guys don't see a lot of them or hear from him a lot, but his guidance and mentorship has really continued to allow me to grow in this role as deputy director. So I wanted to make sure I gave him credit where credit was due. He's been right there along the way for me via phone call, and it's been extremely helpful through this process. So that concludes my presentation.
Okay, stay right there. And can I have a motion to approve the 2020 equalization report as presented?
Moved by Smith.
Moved by Smith.
Second, Betty.
Second by Betty. Is there any discussion, questions? Okay. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Thank you, Tom.
Thank you very much.
Next is our consent agenda. Can I have a motion to approve consent agenda of April 14th, 2020, Board of Commissioners Equalization Session as presented?
So move.
Moved by Hatcher,
Mm-hmm.
Support by Miller.
support by Miller. All right, any discussion? A whole bunch of reappointments. Although, roll call, please.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yeah.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. That's, I believe, 8 different community members who are serving on different appointment committees. So we greatly appreciate them offering their expertise to us. Any special committee or workshop or board reports? Nobody? All right. We don't have any unfinished business. We're going to move on to new business and turn it over to County Administrator Controller Kelly Scott.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm glad to see you all, at least see your faces. Just to give you a couple of updates. One is you should have received communication from the Michigan Association of Counties regarding the legislative conference that was scheduled for the remainder of this week. Of course, in Lansing, it is canceled in person, but MEC is offering virtual sessions on a whole bunch of relevant topics starting on the 16th all the way through the end of April. I'll attend some of them as I can. Everything from economic development strategies as we look toward the end of the pandemic and how to get our communities back thriving, into budgets on how this issue is affecting local budgets and what resources we have to make sure that we're fully reimbursed by state and federal sources. Also on next Monday, April 20, we have for state and local officials an invitation from the State Department of Treasury. I don't think it will be wonderful news, but we'll at least get firsthand from Treasury what their outlook is on the state's budget and hopefully how that might affect our revenue sources. I will say that our deputy controllers, and especially Megan Banning, who's on our finance working group of the Joint Operations Center, is doing a wonderful job in tracking every single expense that the county has related to the response. We are signed up through FEMA to get reimbursement. We're looking at other packages that are possibly available that even include reimbursement for lost revenues. So we're still paying all of our employees. Most of them are not reporting to the office except for our what I'll call our frontline essential workers. And I've been reporting over the past week or so that we're in the process of conducting an employee survey just to check in with our employees. We are also, from the county government standpoint, our administrative executive team is still meeting virtually every week so that we can understand, what's going on inside our government and making sure that issues are being addressed. And then our broader group of countywide leadership, the elected officials, judiciary, and our appointed department heads are meeting every other week. And we'll have our next meeting on this Thursday. At that point, we will be introducing a proposal under our administrative authority to look at for our hourly essential workers, like the sheriff's deputies, like our road workers, maintenance. There's really a lot of employees across county departments that are working everywhere from just a little bit on a staggered or reduced shift to those that are working full time. And we are considering, based on what's going on across the state, some form of compensation that will come at a minimal cost to the county, but will reward those employees and acknowledge that there's a difference in the employees who are essentially on paid leave and those employees who are not only on the front line, but are not able to socially distance themselves from those that they come in contact with. So we'll keep you updated on those items. I'm not going to do a situation update on the Operations Center just because we have so many different forums to update you and the public. Lucy's doing a wonderful job with daily updates. Our next Joint Information Center is scheduled for tomorrow at 1. And please let me know if you do not have it on your calendar. I'll make sure you're added to that. That's a Zoom video meeting. But I just want to make sure that you know that most of us on administration and several of us from our elected and appointed department heads are connected to the Joint Operations Center. We are, I think, working more than full time. I can tell you this is my 7th Zoom meeting today. I did a media interview. We're trying to do our best to make sure that we're providing leadership, not only for the county government, but for this joint operations center effort. And it really is an all hands on deck community-wide effort. I know several of you have been calling in to hear those updates. So please continue to ask me any questions. I can get them addressed, and we're doing our very best to make sure that information that the public wants and that you want is forthcoming on a regular basis. So with that, I would like to move on to our action items. The last time we met was March 5th, or not, but with the scheduled meeting that we had for March 19, we did prepare an agenda packet and send that out. So most of the items out of the 11 tonight, most of them were already forwarded to you in that agenda packet. So we're going to attempt to move quickly through these with the assumption that you've had time over the past month to review those items, and we did get a couple of questions on at least one of them. So we'll start with item 13B1, which is the Public Defender's Office, and this is a request to approve a software contract. The Public Defender's Office has been up and running since September, and they've been using OnBase for basic file cabinet, managing their files. What they're asking is for a contract to implement a brand new enterprise content management solution through IPSoft and that connects to our OnBase management system specifically for Public Defender's Office. So this will greatly improve the workflow between the Public Defender's Office, the Prosecutor's Office, and the courts and law enforcement. Is approximately $134,000. 100% of that is covered by our grant through the MIDC. This is just due to the dollar amount and our contracts policy. We ask for your approval.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the ImageSoft statement of work for the implementation of the OnBase within the Public Defender's Office as presented, and authorize the county administrator controller to sign necessary documents to execute the statement of work?
So moved by
So moved,
Tompkins.
Miller.
Moved by Tompkins. Was that second by King? Okay. There was a couple of you there. So moved by Tompkins, second by King. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
yes,
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, item 13B2 is, actually the next three items are road department competitive bids. These are all three joint bids with the Jackson County Department of Transportation, and they relate to materials that we need very, very soon as we get into construction season with our road department operations. So 13B2 is for hot mix asphalt pickup from the plant. And I am going to ask our Assistant County Administrator, Brad Wilcox, to introduce this item and also the next two.
Thank you, Kelly. As Kelly mentioned, this is our annual hot mix asphalt bid. We're recommending Lakeland Asphalt as the primary plant where we'll pick up materials, but we're using and recommending Michigan Paving as a secondary plant. The combination of two agencies total would be 37,000 tons expected for this year. And that gives a contract total of about $1,840,000. The Calhoun County's portion of that road department would be 32%. So we received 4 bids. Again, we're recommending Lakeland Asphalt as the low bidder. Their price per ton was $47 versus $51 for Michigan Paving. And we're committing to do the road department will be doing through SME random testing to ensure quality and that they maintain bid specifications and adherence of the RFP. The Lakeland bid 2020 versus the previous year, 2019, is 6.4% increase in cost. And that's what I have for the HMA bid.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the one-year contract with Lakeland Asphalt Corporation, Michigan Paving and Materials Company as the primary vendors for Calhoun County Road Department and the Jackson County Department of Transportation respectively to provide plant pickup hot mix asphalt paving materials as presented.
So moved. Vetty.
Moved by Vetty,
Support by Miller.
seconded by Miller.
Yes.
Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
yes,
Commissioner Smith,
yes,
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
yes,
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
The next item on the agenda is 13B3. Again, this is another of our annual joint bids with Jackson County. This one's for culverts and related hardware. So we're recommending a 1-year contract with Jensen Bridge Supply. The total amount of the award is estimated at $150,000 for both agencies. We did receive 3 bids. Jensen was the low bidder. And the bid reflects, when you compare 2019 to 2020, is an 11.5% decrease, which is good. So the Calhoun County Road Department's share of that would be 33%, which is estimated a savings of $5,750 per year.
Awesome. All right. Can I have a motion to approve the 1-year contract with Jensen Bridge Supply Company Incorporated to provide culverts and related hardware to the Calhoun County Road Department and the Jackson Department of Transportation as presented, and authorize the board chair to execute the agreement on behalf of the county?
so move, Hatcher,
Moved by Hatcher,
Second by Vetty.
seconded by Vetty. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hatcher,
yes,
Commissioner Smith,
yes,
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
yes,
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Next item, 13B4, is our annual joint bid with Jackson for sodium chloride. Most of us know it as road salt. We purchase about 40,000 ton of rock salt per year. And this year we're recommending Detroit Salt Company for a total delivered price of $2,708,000. So this constitutes one of our larger material bids that we do. We did receive 4 bids. And again, we're recommending the low bidder, which is Detroit Salt. It's $69.45 per ton, which is about a 4.8% increase as compared to 2019. Calhoun County, when you look at that total, is 32% of the bid. So we purchase about 12,000 tons of salt per year at an estimated cost of $833,000.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the contract for the purchase of up to 40,000 tons of sodium chloride from Detroit Salt Company as presented, and authorize the board chair to execute the agreement on behalf of the county?
So moved by Tompkins.
Moved by Tompkins,
Support by Miller.
seconded by Miller. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Smith,
yes,
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
yes,
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher.
yes,
7 yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, the next 2 items are proposed updates to policies. We continue to look at all of the county's policies for updates as appropriate. And this one is 13B5 is to our grants policy, number 241. First note is that this combines 2 previous policies into one. We had a separate policy for federal grant reporting and then just a grants policy. We've combined those into one. And really the main goals of this, other than to just bring our grants policy up to date with new changes to the federal grant reporting requirements were twofold. One, just to streamline the board reporting process. So previously, under our old grants policy, we would bring certain grant applications to the board and all grant awards to the board. So the issue with that was once we were already awarded funds, it really seems too late to be asking the board for permission to spend those funds. So what we're proposing is a small grant threshold, 25,000, under which grant applications and awards would be approved administratively, and anything above 25,000, we would ask the board for approval prior to submitting the application. And then once the award happened, we would already be approved. So really it's important on the front end that the board understands that the county has a match requirement or does not, that we've had a financial review and understand the budget implications and all of that, that the department heads and elected officials have gone through that due diligence with review from our finance office. And then once the board approves it, really after that, the award is a formality. And then we outline tracking and reporting requirements so that it's clear that the costs have to be allowable and reasonable, that we're doing proper cost allocation, time is being tracked properly. So I thank our finance staff, our deputy controllers, Gerald Shepke and Megan Banning, took the lead on this. They consulted other county grant policies and our auditors for best practices. And we have, as we always do, we have vetted this through our department heads and elected officials. We have shared it with our union leadership, and we're all supportive of this new and improved grants policy.
Okay, we have a motion to approve the changes to policy number 241, grants and elimination of policy number 242, federal grants allowable cost as presented.
So moved, Miller.
Moved by Miller,
Second by Betty.
seconded by Betty. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
yes,
Commissioner Smith.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Item 13B6 is an update to our IT acceptable use policy, number 435. This actually combines 3 previous policies into one. And for this one, since Brad Wilcox directly oversees our IT office, I'm going to ask him to highlight the goals that we've accomplished with this new grant, or this new policy, sorry.
So as Kelly had mentioned, there's 2 elements to the recommendation. One is to approve changes to policy 435, and the other is to collapse into that or eliminate 2 other IT policies, the electronic communication policy number 440 and the county website acceptable use policy number 445. The original policy for IT was written and approved back in March of 2000. So it's 20 years old, and you can only imagine the necessity to update a technology policy that's 20 years old. So the main goal was to update it related to new threats and security solutions that have evolved over those last 20 years. Smartphones weren't even a thing 20 years ago. So there was a lot of policy around remote connectivity and the new devices and the new threats to our security and technology. The approval, policy was approved by our IT executive committee. It was vetted by the E-team, by department heads and elected officials, as well as union membership. So we're recommending that the board approve the new policy number 435.
Can I have a motion to approve changes to policy number 435, information technology acceptable use, formerly internet access, and approve elimination of policy number 440, electronic communications, and policy number 445, county website acceptable use as presented?
So moved, Smith.
Motion by Smith,
Support Hatcher.
seconded by Hatcher. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee.
Yes,
7 yes.
motion carries.
And thank you to Commissioner Smith for chairing the IT Executive Committee. It's one of the few committees that we would consider internal to county operations, but it's been very helpful with Jake's expertise in the IT area to have him there as a sounding board to help us with overall strategy. The next item is 13B7, and this is the Native American Heritage Fund Board Administrative Services Agreement, similar to the Firekeepers Local Revenue Sharing Board Administrative Services Agreement. The county administration, myself and Shana Herta provide communications, and Lucy Blair provide communications support, financial support, and just record keeping support to that board. The NAHF board did meet before the stay home order back on March 6th, and they have approved this agreement. There is no change in scope from the previous 2 years that we've provided this. And the payment is $15,000 in unrestricted revenue to help offset the county's administrative costs. And we have these agreements structured for just 1 year. So we'll bring this before you every year.
We have a motion to approve the administrative services agreement with the Michigan Native American Heritage Fund Board as presented, and authorize County Administrator Controller Kelly Scott to sign the agreement on behalf of the county.
So moved by Tompkins.
Moved by Tompkins,
Support Hatcher.
supported by Hatcher. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty, Commissioner Vetty,
I think we have lost.
I'll come back to her.
Okay.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes,
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty, are you back?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
yes,
Okay.
7 yes.
motion carries.
Okay, thank you. I think the last 4 items are new, meaning they were not on the previous agenda scheduled for March 19. So 13B8 is an MDOT contract for road resurfacing number 20-5152. This is for a milling and resurfacing project on Main Street in Emmett Township, bordering the city of Battle Creek, basically from Columbia north all the way to the city borders. And I'll ask our road department manager, Director John Midgley, to present this item.
Okay, I think can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay, this project's a little bit unique in the fact this is a advanced construct. This was originally scheduled to be built in 2022. We were approached by the city of Battle Creek as they're doing their portion of the road, and we'll actually save money in the long run by combining the 2 projects into one. The only downside is we have to front our entire share, and then we'll actually be reimbursed the federal share in 2022, which we did budget for this year. So this is basically a milling out and a 2-course, putting 2 courses of asphalt back down, along with doing a little bit of sidewalk and some sidewalk ramp works, so we can comply with ADA. And that's I think those are the key points, if anybody has any questions.
All right, let's get a motion. First, can I have a motion to approve the Michigan Department of Transportation contract number 20-5152 as presented and authorize the board chair and county administrator to sign the contract on behalf of the county?
So moved. King.
Moved by King,
Support Miller.
support by Miller. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chair, I just want to mention for the record, I guess, that the project total is approximately $200,000. It is a federal aid project, so in 2022, we will get reimbursed for a little over 80% of that, and which will leave the county's match about $36,000 net.
Okay. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Can we stop? Let's stop for just a minute. I see that we have a hand up. I missed that.
oh,
Commissioner
sorry.
Hatcher.
Yes. Thank you, Chair. My question I was going to ask is, again, could I hear a repeat on where this project is taking place at? I just kind of lost it, so I just heard Columbia.
I can take that. This is Kelly. It's in Emmett Township. So Columbia and Main Street. Main Street goes north from Columbia to north till we get to the city of Battle Creek.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Please continue, Madam Clerk.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee.
Yes.
7 yes.
Okay.
And the
Motion
next-
carries.
Thank you. The last three items are,
Hang on just a second, Kelly.
oh, sure.
Austin, I just want to make sure you check the live stream link and we're good.
Stream is still up and rolling.
All right, great. Thank you. Please continue.
The last three items are also new. Just to preface them, the way that the Joint Operations Center works, it is a collaboration between the emergency management services of the city of Battle Creek and the county and the health department. We had to choose one of those agencies to be the fiduciary from the standpoint of the federal government and being the applicant to get reimbursed for our response costs. The county felt like we were in the best position to do that. And so some of the items that you'll see tonight and possibly going forward are coming from recommendations and prior approval through the Joint Operations Center. Because the county's the fiduciary, the contracts are in these cases in the name of the county. We are essentially putting them through our general ledger, through our cash flow, paying the bills, and then we will be submitting the reimbursement requests on behalf of the Joint Operations Center. And we're tracking local matches and all of that. And as I said earlier, at this point, we don't expect any general fund impact to the county. There appears to be, at least so far, sufficient resources from what the health department has already received and what's been confirmed as available to local governments from federal sources to cover our response. So with that, the first one is 13B9. And this is an emergency reciprocal law enforcement agreement. And the Sheriff Hinckley mentioned a little bit about this situation earlier. And with that, I'll ask our Corporation Counsel, Jim Dyer, who is on our legal team he's on our legal working team through the Joint Operations Center and has helped to put together this agreement and several others.
Thank you, Kelly. The purpose of this agreement is to essentially address the question of what would occur if, for whatever reason related to this, the current coronavirus epidemic, to have law enforcement in any particular area reduced below their normal staffing levels for purposes of their response times. And so we effectively decided to use the deputization power of the county sheriff to use law enforcement officers from other jurisdictions that may be able to fill in where they might be needed. So we create a cross-deputization agreement between all the jurisdictions within the county, and also a joint law enforcement emergency command center that would determine how those needs get adjusted and addressed. So that would be using the sheriff's power to deputize, and then all command officers in the county deciding how to do deployment. The agreement is signed by all the chiefs of police of the various entities within the county, including such as the Kellogg Community College Law Enforcement Center and others. You know, the more obvious city and county systems. And what we're asking you to do is to ratify the decision to enter into that agreement and essentially allow that to be implemented in the future if this were to ever occur again. Because we're using emergency powers during this crisis, but once that's over, your approval will permit that to be used again in the future should this occur.
All right. Can I have a motion to ratify and approve the county reciprocal emergency law enforcement agreement as presented and authorize the county board chair to sign the resolution of approval?
So moved. Vetty.
Support, Miller.
Support Tompkins.
All right, support by Tompkins, moved by, who was the first one, Betty?
Vetty.
Okay. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty,
You're muted, Kathy Sue.
Sorry. Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yeah.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries.
The last two items, 13B10 and 13B11, both relate to one of the major initiatives that the Joint Operations Center has been working on for the last 2 weeks. We actually created a special working group for this goal, which was to create a non-medical sheltering agreement arrangement for individuals who are either exposed to COVID-19 and have unconfirmed test results or have tested positive to COVID-19, need to be isolated or quarantined, but not hospitalized. This was an item that has been in FEMA's and CDC's recommended planning for health departments for a while. It has become emergent for all local health departments as we continue to look at hospitals and their capacities and just realize that there are certain populations of people, including homeless, including those that it's just not medically safe and feasible for them to be isolated and quarantined at home. And it doesn't make sense to take up hospital resources for some place where they can be safely sheltered and isolated and keep them safe and keep them from spreading the virus throughout the community. So the first item, 13B10, is actually an agreement to lease a local hotel within Battle Creek. I should say that Brad Wilcox was drafted to the Joint Operations Center to lead that working group, the Quarantine and Isolation Working Group. We had input from Linda Freibler from our Visitors Bureau with Commissioner Vetty as chair. She was really helpful in helping us understand and have contact information for the local hotels, figure out which one would be best suited based on location, based on security, based on proximity to other wraparound services for these individuals, and based on the CDC requirements. So there will be news articles coming out both in the Battle Creek Inquirer and our local on the ground media reporting tomorrow. It is the Hampton Inn in Battle Creek. It's on Riverside Drive, just off Beckley, near the Lakeview Square Mall. We have already executed this agreement, and in fact have 2 individuals have already occupied the hotel based on emergent needs over this past weekend, one from Calhoun County and one from Kalamazoo County. I mentioned Kalamazoo County, put that into context. Because we've secured the entire hotel facility that has 63 beds, we are offering this as a regional approach to any other counties that have not been able to find locations or haven't even gotten that far in their emergency response process. So this has support, our regional approach has support from MDHHS. We have received pre-approval qualification from FEMA. So it's an eligible cost that we should expect 75% reimbursement for. But I think the best thing about this hotel lease, which Jim Dyer drafted and has negotiated with the hotel, is that the regional approach to this. So all of the other counties around us do not have an arrangement like this in place, with the exception of a couple in the Lansing area within our region. So the total cost that you'll see outlined in here does approximate $100,000 per month. And again, that's to secure the entire hotel and includes security, which is the next item on the agenda. It includes all of the medical and support services that individuals will need as they're occupying the hotel, hopefully on a very short-term basis. It includes laundry, housekeeping, supplies, and food that are delivered. There are rules that really ensure the safety of individuals that would occupy the hotel. They are not allowed to leave their rooms. And so for that reason, we are working with the local nonprofit groups to help with providing those services. The health department staff are providing the medical services and the case management. And it was really a heavy lift for our Joint Operations Center, Brad and his group and Jim Dyer it took us about 2 weeks to get everything in place. And when I say everything, I think there are still few loose ends being tied up, but we are very much in operation with this hotel. And we really hope that we can have some other counties sign agreements like Kalamazoo has, so that we can minimize duplication of costs and duplication of effort, just because it is really a unique situation that requires so many logistics to have these individuals be comfortable and safe in this interim period that they are dealing with. And it also ensures, again, that we're not unnecessarily having people stay in hospitals that don't need to be there.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve and ratify the enactment of the emergency provision of the county procurement policy, authorizing the county administrator controller to execute an agreement prior to board approval, and to ratify the agreement with the ownership group of the Hampton Inn at 1150 Riverside Drive, Battle Creek, Michigan, 49015, for the exclusive use of their facility during the duration of the COVID-19 outbreak for the purposes of operating a non-congregate COVID-19 infection isolation and quarantine facility as presented.
So moved, Hatcher.
Support,
Hatcher.
Nettie.
Support by Miller. All right, any discussion? There's a hand up, Jake. Mr.
Thank you, Chair Frisbee. I'm just curious, when did these first folks move into the area, or when did this really get rolling with this arrangement?
On Saturday, so 3 days ago.
Okay. All right, my only concern on this front, this is something that obviously is moving and developing quickly and is a heavy lift. Can everybody hear me okay? Getting a lot of feedback. This was something that kind of snuck up on me quickly anyway. I wasn't familiar with this arrangement until the second version of the board packet came out. Would have just liked a little bit more of a heads up on that. But I realize there's a lot of moving parts. But you know, I got a lot of folks in that area, and they're going to have questions about it. I just like a little bit more heads up on that.
It has been, not the exact location, but it has been discussed in the JIG, where you can tune in on Wednesdays and listen into what's going on. They haven't announced the location, but it was pretty clear it was going to be on the local Battle Creek facility. So,
Okay.
and it's hard. You're right. There's a lot of moving parts. So, I don't think it really came together until the last moment. So, in Jim and Kelly's defense, there was a lot of negotiation back and forth.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, and I think they took the appropriate actions. Certainly. I don't mean to suggest otherwise.
Okay.
Chair,
All right. Any other discussion?
Chair Frisbee?
Yes.
I just wanted to mention, Kelly has done a wonderful job on this. I've been very, very appreciative of the time that Linda Freibler has put in. She, as Kelly said, is our CEO of the Visitor and Convention Bureau, and she does a phenomenal job there. And Brad Wilcox is he's really the one that I think deserves most of the credit on this. He's done a really amazing job. Linda's shared that with me. I know it's a tough thing to have happen. However, we are ahead of so many other counties all across our states in doing this. And so I'm proud of us for being leaders here.
And I think the last thing I would add to that is it's a place where we know folks are going to be, which is more safe than not knowing who has it and who doesn't. We know that we should probably not try to go to the Hampton Inn for the next several weeks until this thing is over with and it's been disinfected and all that. So I'm sure there are people that are going to be concerned about it and having it near their location. But we've operated from the premise that we don't know who's infected, and we shouldn't operate under the premise we think we know who's infected. We should operate under the premise that everybody's potentially infected. So I get the concern, but I think we're in the right direction as well. Any other discussion? Jake?
I just wanted to add, well, first off, I completely agree with your approach on there as far as assuming it's everywhere. Just as a best practice. But where should we look for additional information on occupancy here? Is that something that's going to come out of joint operations, or is this something that's going to come from the health department specifically, or another source? Just so we can keep our finger on the pulse of what's going on there at the Hampton.
Kelly?
With our Joint Operations Center briefings, we typically will get kind of a situational update on the operations. I'm actually not sure if the plan is to report the number of occupants at any given day from our county and from out county. So let me take that back tomorrow morning and just make sure that that's not an issue. And if so, it will be part of our regular briefings and updates through our Joint Information Center. I guess I can talk about this on the next item. So hopefully that answers your question.
Any other discussion? Good discussion. Thank you. Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetti,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Derek, are you with us?
I called Nick. Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
You are muted, Derek. All right. Derek, you are muted. Let me try to call him real quick.
Yeah, text him or call him.
That he's frozen.
Okay.
Is that like Frozen 1 or Frozen 2? I think he's watching that a lot right now.
Aren't we all?
I've got him on my phone and he's going to go ahead and say it again.
Commissioner King,
He voted yes.
7 yes.
Okay, thank you. Before we do the last item, 13B11, since this will be my last opportunity to speak tonight, I also want to echo the remarks and the thanks for Sheriff Saxton and wish him well in Lansing. We'll look for you when we need you in Lansing and around here. And also thank you for handing off to Sheriff Hinckley. He's been a wonderful participant in our Joint Operations Center. What a difficult time to have to start as new sheriff with all that's going on right now, and just appreciate all that you've done. And also just my thoughts and prayers again to Board Chair Steve Frisbee and his family with the passing of his mother-in-law this past week.
Yes.
So with that, the last action item tonight is 13B11, and this is the security contract. It's an independent security firm out of Kalamazoo that is providing the necessary 24/7 security for our Equalization Hotel. So Brad and his working group obtained informal quotes to get security. It is really important that we have 24/7 security. They're also working with the City of Battle Creek Police Department and the Sheriff's Office just to make sure that order is maintained within the hotel, that residents are not leaving their room inappropriately, that visitors aren't allowed to come in, or the people that are coming in to deliver services are doing so in a safe and controlled environment. Personal protection equipment is being provided to anyone who comes close to the location, close to the individuals. And also our health officer, Eric Pessel, and his staff have done a wonderful job to provide the services and the case management. The health officer has also issued a local order that prohibits basically any loitering, any media, anybody from inappropriately just being at that site. So it all works together, but this is a formal contract that the county has entered into on behalf of the Joint Operations Center with a company called A&H Private Investigation Security Management. The cost is an hourly basis, and it is included in the price of $100,000 per month that I quoted before, most of which will either be reimbursed from FEMA and or shared with any other counties that are also sharing hotel space within our secured hotel.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve and ratify the enactment of the emergency provision of the county procurement policy, authorizing the county administrator controller to execute an agreement prior to board approval and ratify that agreement with A&H Private Investigation Security Management to provide hotel security for the Hampton Inn Riverside, Battle Creek during the duration of the hotel operation as a non-congregate shelter for the COVID-19 infection, isolation, and quarantine facility as presented.
Still moved by Miller.
Moved by Miller,
Support by Vetti.
supported by Betty. Is there any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Vetti,
Yes.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King, Commissioner King.
He's still having trouble connecting.
Okay, well, we'll come back. Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
and Commissioner King.
I'm dialing him up again.
Okay.
Okay, I've got you live. If you want to vote on that last item,
Commissioner King.
he voted yes.
Okay, 7 yes.
Motion carries. Next is citizens' time. The same rules apply as during the first citizens' time. Please limit your time to 3 minutes. No negative personal comments. Please mute your TV or computer when calling in, as the background sound will generate feedback. Please note there is approximately a 10-second delay between the live meeting and the YouTube feed. Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? Is there anyone that would like to address their commissioners? I don't see any attendees outside of our staff. All right, Austin, if you see somebody, let me know, and we'll move on to commissioner time. All right, we have Commissioner Miller.
Oh, yeah, we had a MLFDA meeting by Zoom last week, and we decided to postpone the Blues Festival. We lost our deposit because of it, but they're hoping if things level out, we can maybe still squeeze the Blues Festival in end of August, right before Labor Day, weekend before Labor Day. But it's yet to be determined because you have so much goes into that by getting an entertainer together and the beer tent together, all the tents put together. It's a pretty big deal, but we really had no choice but to postpone that, and hopefully we can have it this fall. The other thing is the 4-H extension has canceled all 4-H activities until September 1st through the MSU. So we're not sure what we're going to do with the fair yet. Our fair is a youth fair, not a 4-H fair. So if there is a fair, it could still possibly be, but with all the businesses closed down right now, they're going to be in economic hardship. All the kids that do have all their projects going on, they have a lot of money put into their projects. Are they going to have any buyers there if we do have a fair? That's a big concern we got going there too. So that's all I have right now.
Thank you. Commissioner Tompkins.
Thank you, Chair. I got a couple of things. First and foremost, is Tom Scott still on the line? I've got an Hey, hi there, sir. I got an equalization question for you. When looking at the data that you'd provided earlier under personal property, I believe in Homer Township there was a 23% decrease. Do you happen to know right offhand what that was?
Let me see. I've got some notes here on my original report, handwritten here. Homer Townships. It looks like there was an industrial RSB transmissions didn't file an EMPP in 2019, but did in 2020. So again, it was that EMPP exemption.
Gotcha. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Thank you, sir.
You're very welcome, Commissioner.
And real quickly, I just want to again certainly echo some of the other sentiments that's made to Chair Frisbee, and sincere condolences on the loss of his mother-in-law.
Thank you.
To you and your family, sir. I know especially with the COVID-19 and funerals, this is a very difficult time, especially just for that. So I certainly want to extend that as well. And then finally, I know we heard Sheriff Saxon. I'm not sure if he's still around, but here this evening, but certainly want to wish him the best of luck and very much a thank you for his 26 years plus to service to Calhoun County. We'll certainly miss you, but we know you'll be around. And as you know, Homer is home for you, sir, and I'm sure we'll see you around. And then finally, I'll wrap up this evening by saying certainly congratulations to Sheriff Hinckley. With all the COVID thing going on, haven't had a chance to officially congratulate him. Certainly looking forward to working with him, and I'm absolutely sure he'll do a great job for Calhoun County. Thank you, Chair.
Any other commissioners?
Chair Frisbee.
Yes.
Hi there. I just wanted to make a couple of comments, some of which have been made. Definitely sending love and prayers to you and your family and your lovely wife. I know your mother-in-law, Marilyn, was an amazing woman, and she will be really missed. She was a ton of fun. And I would like to send a shout out to our county leadership. Kelly Scott and Jim Dyer have done an amazing job. Brad Wilcox on the Unified Command Team. As Kelly said, she's on meetings nonstop. They have done a great job of leadership and information and helping us out. And it is an interesting time. I think that there are so many people who are off and bored and not doing a thing. And then there's a few of you who are working more than ever and under so many constraints and just really, really difficult times. And Kelly is shining brightly, as she always does. I even heard from Judge Deconette this weekend at what a great job she was doing. And so very proud, very thankful that she is in charge and leading us. We need her.
Any other commissioners? Yeah, I just let you know that I've been getting several emails in the last 2 weeks. It's a form email, and it's a request that we release ICE detainees. My standard response back is, you're asking the wrong person, essentially, that I don't have the authority to do that. You need to talk to the federal government. So I just wanted to let you know all that's going on. And it's a form letter. I wanted to add to some of the list of some of the folks that have really stepped up, and I've been part of the JOC, and it's fun to watch. Most times, we've had some extended things with like the oil spill in Calhoun County. That was quite an extended use of emergency management tools, incident command and such. But this one is just, it never stops. It's like the problem just doesn't go away. So it's a 24-hour, 7-day-a-week issue. The oil stuff, once it got stopped, you could go home at night and know that it was still going to be there in the morning, but you could go back to it. So Megan Banning, Brad Wilcox, Kelly, Jim, Lucy, Aaron, behind the scenes is doing a lot in procurement. So we're using our staff very wisely, and I appreciate Kelly keeping them involved. And to the folks at the health department, Eric, Bridget, Kevin, and staff there, oh my goodness, have they really stepped up, and they worked their tails off trying to protect Calhoun County. And I'm very grateful for all of their hard work. And I'll tell you what, if they hadn't been on the ball, we'd have been in a lot of trouble, I do believe. So I greatly appreciate all the hard work that they put in. And then thanks for all the condolences. Marilyn was a great lady, so she'll be missed. It's a weird time to have a funeral. We interred her today, and then we'll have a funeral sometime when COVID is over. So I'll let you know about that in case you want to join us. But she was a great lady, and we'll miss her. So anybody else? Derek King.
Thank you, Chair. I'd also like to give a big shout out to the staff, health department, Kelly and her team, Austin and his technology skills. That's awesome. But I'd also like to recognize the road workers that are out there. They don't stop. Holes still need to be filled. It's the time of year when the roads are the worst. So keep up the good work, and everybody stay safe. It's a really weird time. So, it gives you kind of adds a new importance to things that sometimes you take for granted. So thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Mr. Miller, do you have something else?
Yeah, I just wanted to say we did a great job for all of our administration and our health department. Our sheriff's department's been doing a great job adjusting to everything that's going on right now. And we really appreciate that. And I want to send my condolences to your family, your mother-in-law. And we also had a employee of the road department lost his life there. I don't know the exact date, about 3 weeks ago at an accident home. He had almost 20 years at the road department, Steve Kita. He left behind a young daughter they did a lot with. So And his, his family also.
Absolutely. And thanks for bringing that up. I had it in my notes for the last meeting that got postponed to make sure that we said that. And I just didn't get them transferred. So I appreciate you bringing that up, and condolences to his family. Thank you, Commissioner Miller. Anybody else? All right. Go on to claims payable. Can I have a motion to approve claims payable from February 28th, 2020 through March 12th, 2020 in the amount of $2,911,836.91, and March 13th, 2020 through April 2nd in the amount of $6,865,444.74 as presented.
Still moved by Miller.
Motion by Miller,
Support.
By Hatcher.
support by Hatcher. Any discussion? Madam Clerk, please take the roll.
Commissioner Hatcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Smith,
Yes.
Commissioner Frisbee,
Yes.
Commissioner King,
Yes.
Commissioner Miller,
Yes.
Commissioner Tompkins,
Yes.
Commissioner Vetty.
Yes.
7 yes.
Motion carries. Are there any announcements? I do have one, and that was Carla Fales had, I'll have to find that number and get it out, but they're looking for volunteers to deliver Meals on Wheels for area seniors and folks. They don't have any congregate meals anymore because you can't do that with COVID. So everything is home delivered. So if you can spread that number and help her find folks to do delivery, that would be greatly appreciated. Anybody else?
Just real quickly, if I could, Chair, just want to wish everybody to continue to stay safe, and we will get through this together. So hang in there. We're all in this together, and stay safe. Thank you.
Amen.
Chair Frisbee, do you want the phone number?
Yes.
It's 269-382-0515. And then you use extension 137. And that's the Calhoun County Meals on Wheels program is looking for volunteers.
Awesome. Thank you.
Extension 137.
269-832-0515. And then extension 137.
Okay, thank you.
If you can all promote that on your social media pages, we'd appreciate it.
And then we also had, and I can text this to everybody. I took a picture of it from yesterday. I think Lucy had it out. Southwest Michigan Food Bank is accepting donations that's the Wayne Road location. And then there's some information on PPE equipment or pieces and parts if anybody has anything like that for the hospitals. So I'll send this out to all of you.
Awesome.
Great.
Any other announcements? I think we had a really good meeting for the first time doing this ever by Zoom, and I appreciate everybody's attention and getting in early to make sure it would work. And Austin, Austin and Lucy and some others I know did a fabulous job.
Yeah.
Shayna put a lot of effort into this too. So
great
well
job,
done.
guys.
Appreciate all your efforts, and this meeting is adjourned.
Nice job also, Chair.
Thank you. Great job, guys.